Hello there. Welcome back to Grade 11 Business Studies. In this video, we want to look at an essay question, and this is an essay question of a March test, and the question is on business environment. So this is question 5 on this question paper. So the question reads: Textile manufacturers has been in operation for the past 10 years. Over the past year, the owner Dillon is noticing the following challenges. So we're given different points here. First one reads: his workers have become very difficult. Competition on the market has increased, constant industrial action by trade unions, shortage of supply of raw materials, lack of management skills from his manager, a change in consumer taste and habits. So these are the challenges that we are given. Then beneath that we are given are the requirements of the question. First point, list and explain Potter's 5 forces. That's the first point that we have. And obviously, we have other points that are the requirements of the question. So basically, this is going to constitute our main point. Remember the layout of our essay that we are going to start with our introduction. Then from the introduction, we are going to the main body. Then finally, we sum it up with the conclusion. So basically, in terms of the introduction, remember the most appropriate way to come up with the introduction is to define any terms that we are seeing in the question. So if you go through our question, you are going to see that we have got the term microenvironment here, which we can define in the introduction. And also we have got the market environment that we are seeing again, that we can try to also describe in the introduction. So this is how you can come up with the introduction, whereby you can try to describe any terms that we can have in the question. It might be one term or two terms, depending on the question that we are having. So remember, the term that we are going to define is going to be a business term. It's not going only to be just a term, but I'm trying to identify business terms that are inside the question. So obviously, there are some hints in terms of how you can come up with a proper introduction, whereby we are saying what is in the question is not supposed to be repeated in the introduction. And then don't include again anything that we are going to say in the main body in the introduction. So maybe we can take note of that. So going to our introduction, you see that this is our introduction that we have, whereby we are defining microenvironment here, and then there is a definition again of microenvironment. So microenvironment of the business is known uh, as the internal business environment, and therefore the business has full control. So basically, microenvironment describes the internal environment of a business. So basically, those are the factors that the business can easily control, because they are constitute the inside of a business. Then you go to market environment. Market environment now describes any factors that affect the consumer behavior. Basically, that's the market environment. So let's try to see in terms of market environment, where say market environment exists directly outside of the business, and therefore the business has partial control over the components. So partial control, very important to take note that the business can partially control the market environment. And then the next explanation that we have is just trying to sum up the introduction by saying, in order to be successful, it is important for a business to identify challenges of these environments and find ways to overcome and adapt to these challenges. So basically, this is trying to sum up your introduction. So going back to our question. So if you go back to our question, you see that our first point is list and explain Potter's five forces. So you would see that the Potter's five forces, it is a market analysis tool, which can be used to ascertain both the attractiveness of an industry and also the level of competitiveness of that industry. So basically, that's what we have on the explanation of it. The Potter's five forces, on the essence behind the Potter's five forces. So the question only needs us to list and explain the five forces. So basically, we have those five forces. They are listed there in their explanation. So we are saying the first force that we have is power of suppliers. So explanation is that ability of suppliers to influence potential buyers tend to drive up prices. So we are saying the power of suppliers. Remember, the suppliers are the ones that sell goods to the business. In other words, they are supplying the business with goods. So basically, the explanation now is trying to illustrate that in that essence, the supplier will have the ability to influence potential buyers. So basically, in that way, the level of supply can determine even the price levels. The level of supply, if they want the price to go up, obviously they're going to contract the supply to reduce the supply so that they create a shortage, and obviously prices will go up in that scenario, according to the a clear movement of forces of supply and demand. We are going to see an increase in price. So basically, that's what we are having on our first point on power of suppliers. And secondly, we've got a power of buyers. And then it's one that we have is the ability of buyers of the product or service in the industry to influence our suppliers. And then we have got tend to drive down prices. So obviously, the power of buyers can be explained from the point of view that if the buyers their potential to buy, if it increases, it means also the demand of that product will increase. And if we have got more demand of a product, obviously we are going to see an increase in prices. So we are going to see an increase in prices. And then if the demand goes down, obviously we are going to see a reduction in prices. So basically, that's how buyers can determine also the price levels. So that's what we have for the second part. The third part, we've got threat of new entry, whereby we are saying the industry that the business is operating, there is a threat that a new business can come and operate in that industry. That becomes a threat of a new entry. So the explanation that we have reads at the extent to which a new competitor can enter the market. So basically, that's what we have. Then we go to the next one, saying threat of substitution. Obviously, substitution, we are saying which product can be used in place of the product that we are offering on the market. That's the threat of substitution. So to see that the threat of substitution also is complemented by the issue of competitor. So we are going to see that when there's a substitute good that way, it means we also have competitors that are there in that market. Then we go to the explanation, the extent to which alternative product or services may diminish the existing products. So this is the explanation that we have. The competitive rival, the competitive relationship between dominant companies in the industry, businesses selling the same or similar goods and services. So basically, this is the level of competition that we have in the industry. So basically, that's the last point that we have to determine the Porter's 5 forces. And we try to see according to the requirements of the next point, which reads identify 3 microenvironmental challenges from the above scenario and discuss the impact each challenge would have on Tino's business. Remember, the microenvironment we are saying is the internal environment which the business can control. So basically, it constitutes the issue of the employees of the business, and anything that surrounds those employees or workers of the business can also clearly describe the issue of microenvironment. So basically, those are the challenges that we want to pick from the points that you are given in the scenario that we have there. So you'll see that now the first point says his workers have become very difficult. And we are seeing there's an issue to do with workers, so it becomes one of them. And also we try to pick another one, which is something to do with the internal environment. We have got constant industrial action by trade unions. Remember, trade union is an association of workers. The membership is made up of workers. So obviously, it also constitutes the internal environment. So we have got this one again. And then we try to check another microenvironment element that we have. Lack of management skills from his manager is another one to make it the third one. So remember, the manager is the worker of that business. So basically, those are the 3 that we have. And the question is asking us 3. And from that, it says discuss the impact each challenge would have on Tino's business. So we are going to go through that on the other section and try to see the description that we have according to this video. So the first one we are saying these workers have become very difficult, which means these are difficult workers or difficult employees. So the explanation that we have reads are difficult workers. So maybe we can try to understand what do we mean by difficult workers. Of course, difficult workers, it describes those workers that are not cooperative in the workplace. So obviously, they are going to cause negative effects on the operations of the business. So the first point says difficult workers tend to demoralize core workers, which is quite clear that the essence of difficult workers is to demoralize the other workers that they are working with. So we go to the next point. Next point reads, they will create tension. They will create tension in workplace and hamper productivity, which is actually correct. Because when you have these difficult workers, obviously, they are going to create some tensions, some disagreements in the workplace, that obviously is going to negatively affect productivity, whereby we are going to have a reduction in productivity in the workplace. Then, so this is the second explanation that way. Then we go to this next, which is saying constant industrial action by trade unions or trade unions, and then unions or strike. So basically, by trade unions, we are saying this is just a union of workers. Remember, the membership of trade unions is made up of workers. So basically, these are trade unions, they represent workers or they work on behalf of the workers, whereby they are protecting the workers' working conditions, the level of salaries and wages that they are earning, so that they earn adequate salaries and wages. So basically, the explanation now that we have in terms of that is that corrupt union officials could influence workers negatively into taking part in strikes and other industrial actions. So, if we have got corrupt union officials, the officials or that are leading the trade unions, if they are corrupt, they can work in a negative direction of the operation of the business. So basically, that's what we're going to first explanation. The second one saying this will lead to loss in production, attention, and stress in the workplace. So those are some of the results that we can notice if we have got an ineffective trade union. The lastly, strikes not only cost the business money, but also affect the workers and negatively. So psychologically, again, the issue of industrial actions in form of our strikes can negatively affect the workers' performance psychologically. So basically, this is the last point that we have. Then, of course, we've got lack of management skills from his manager. That is lack of management skills. And we are saying a manager is a worker of the business. So if the manager doesn't have the adequate management skills, is going to negatively affect the performance of the business. This first explanation is saying this usually is the reason why many businesses close down. Remember, the manager is on the top of the business, leading many operations. So if the manager is ineffective, obviously the business is going to go down. So we go to the next point. This also leads to a business having no sense of direction, and workers often become demoralized because of poor management. And lastly, business procedures and processes could be inefficient. So basically, this is just an explanation that is trying to point out the issue of lack of management skills. So this is what we have on the second part of the question. So obviously, we want to see next what do we have. Next point is saying identify 3 market environment challenges from the above scenario and discuss impact that each challenge would have on Delium's business. So the market environment now, we are talking about the environment or the factors that affect the consumer behavior, that affect the customers, obviously in the market. So those are the challenges that we're just going to try to pick there. Those are the challenges that we can try to pick from the list that we are given there. So obviously we can go through the points that we have there and try to pick them. So elements of the market environment that we have there, let's look at the second point, which is saying competition on the market is increased. So obviously this is going to affect the consumer behavior. If there's no competition, obviously the consumer can opt for other alternatives. So basically it affects the behavior of the consumer. Then we look for the other element that we have from the list that we have. We can also pick the issue of a change in consumer tastes and habits. So obviously it affects the consumer's behavior. And we try to see if we still have any other according to the information given. So the third one that we have is a shortage of supply of raw materials. So remember, we've got the issue of supply, which means there are suppliers involved there. And the suppliers, obviously, they influence, they have the power to influence the prices of goods. So obviously, if prices are being affected, we are going to see also consumers being affected. So we have got 3 elements that we've just picked there that we are going to go through on the other section. So we go there and try to see what actually do we have. So the first point that we have according to market development challenges is competition on the market has increased. So this becomes our first point. And the explanation that we have they are businesses that sell the same or similar goods and services. So of course, our competitors becomes our businesses that sell the same or similar goods or services. Then there will be direct competition, and when goods and services are identical and similar, next point they try to capture the same target market and market share as the business. And the lastly, their lower prices and they lower prices and have promotional sales to attract customers. So this is what happening in terms of competition of the market. And then we have got a shortage of supply of raw materials. So we're going to see that if the supplier is the only supplier that we have in the market, we are going to see that, or the supplier that we have in that industry, we are going to see that that supplier can easily determine the movement of level prices. Because remember, if that supplier is monopolizing the industry, can determine the pace in terms of the level of supply that it is issuing out. So this is exactly what we are just going to try to explain. The first point is saying suppliers provide a business with goods and services and raw materials so that the businesses will have the means to trade. And then second point, suppliers have the tendency to drive up or increase prices, especially if they are the sole provider of a particular raw material. Obviously, if they want to drive up the prices, obviously they are going to adjust the level of supply that they are providing to the businesses. Remember, we have got the forces of supply and demand. If the prices are being determined by the forces of supply and demand at the equilibrium level, it can be easily manipulated. The price level can be easily manipulated there. So if they want to increase the prices, obviously they are going to contract the supply, level of supply. In other words, they reduce supply, and we are going to see movements of those supply curves, and we're going to, at the end of the day, prices will increase. So this is what we have. Next point is that if suppliers are unable to supply raw materials on time, it will hamper the production process and decrease the business profits. So this becomes the last point that we have. And then we have the third challenge that we identified is a change in consumer tastes and habits, which is called change in consumer tastes and habits, which is just a repetition that we have there. Then we can deduce negative impacts of these changes in consumer tastes and habits, and also deduce positive impact. So in terms of negative impact, this will cause business to incur more expenses. As a business, we have to develop new products that consumers would want to buy. So if there are changes in consumer tastes and habits, we are saying consumers are less preferring our products. It means we have to develop new products, which might be an expensive stance that we are taking. So it becomes a negative effect to the operation of the business. And then this could result in the business having obsolete products, which could lead to losses. So this is the explanation in terms of the negative impact point of view. Then you've got positive impact, such as the rise of new businesses. So if we have the more preference in terms of our products due to a positive change in consumer tastes and habits, we are going to notice a rise of businesses, as obviously the businesses are going to earn more revenue, which is a positive direction. Then next point is saying expansion of current businesses. Also, the current business that have been that have been operating also are also going to benefit from the positive change in consumer tastes and habits. So the positive consumer tastes and habits is that the consumers have more tastes in terms of the products that are being offered. So basically, that's what we have on the explanation of this 6.3.3. Then we go to the next point, try to see. So we are now on the last point, which is saying explain how Deloitte can solve the problem or challenge of difficult workers, lack of management skills, shortage of supply. So we are going to start with the difficult workers. So difficult workers, obviously, these are problematic workers that we have in the workplace. Obviously, warnings have to be issued to those difficult workers so that they get warned on the behavior that they are undertaking in the business. So written warnings, there may be written warnings, verbal warnings in terms of their articulation of activities in the workplace. So basically, that's what we have on how to deal with difficult workers. Or maybe we can come up with the disciplinary procedures, suspensions, so that we can try to scare them so that they come in line of what is required in that workplace. So we go to the other section, try to see how can we deal with difficult workers. The first point is saying these people have to be dealt with by the book, issue verbal warnings, letters of warning, and disciplinary hearings. And then have team building activities, sessions to address the certain issues. Then we've got lack of management skills. Obviously, this needs training. Those workers without management skills have to train so that they acquire the skills. Set managers for skills development training to develop management skills. When choosing managers, check experience and skills before recruitment destination. So the recruitment process should be a very strict one so that you take the best candidates out of the candidates that are available. And then we go to the next, have a meeting with the manager and explain to him or her the business vision, mission. So obviously, this is just a communication of the strategy of the business in terms of the vision and the mission, and then explain all policies and procedures that need to be followed in the business. So this is what we have in terms of how to deal with lack of management skills. And we go to the next point, shortage of supply. Shortage of supply. Business should look for new suppliers on the market so that they can buy raw materials at reasonable prices. So basically, the point is just trying to illustrate that let's go for other suppliers that are obviously going to meet our demands. Then next point, be in constant contact with suppliers to ensure that the correct quality of goods are ordered and delivered on time so that production is not delayed. So to ensure that there is no bottlenecking along the process, communication is also required so that we get in touch with the suppliers so that in every time we are going to have we're not going to have any problems of maybe delays in terms of supplies and even no suppliers at all. So basically, those are some of the solutions that we can come up with. Then obviously, the last part is about the conclusion, where now you are concluding what you have discussed in the main body. So remember also the incentive of the conclusion is that do not include what you have discussed in the main body and rewrite it as the conclusion. So basically, that's the basic hint that you can have in terms of coming up with the conclusion. So conclusion, obviously, you are just going to maybe come up with recommendations in terms of better ways to solve a problem. If you are discussing a problem in the main body, you can come up with a value judgment. It's another way to come up with your conclusion. So this is the conclusion that we have according to this according to this essay. Thank you for listening. Hopefully the video was helpful. Let's not forget to subscribe and share to our channel. Let's share the link to our colleagues who are doing grade 11 business studies. Let's meet again in the next video. As for this video, I'm signing out.